So welcome to Northern Powerhouses, our business success stories series of interviews, where we discuss with local business leaders their backgrounds, their successes and their challenges and what's really driving them forwards. And this afternoon, I'm delighted we have with us Bill Barton, who's director at Barton Legal. So firstly, Bill, thanks for spending a bit of time with us. And if you'd like to introduce yourself and Barton Legal, what you do and how you help people, that would be wonderful.
Fantastic. Thanks very much, Chris. It's a real pleasure to be on here and thank you for asking me. I'm Bill Barton. Our company is Barton Legal Limited. Bizarre fact, so we're one of the first law firms to actually become a limited company. My co-director is also my wife. So we specialise in, my sort of side of the business is construction engineering.
Yep.
And Trish, her side is commercial property.
Yep.
Probably 80% of the business is construction and engineering. We cover both the non-contentious, that's drafting contracts, reviewing, and the contentious side. So that's adjudications, litigation, arbitration, and the rest. Our clients are all over. So we have a lot of clients in the north and Yorkshire, but we have a lot of clients from down south, because obviously we provide much better value for money, and also a lot of foreign clients. We used to have a lot more, but then someone allowed Brexit, and we have had to work very hard to regain. So yeah, we are 12 in number. We are based in Rawdon, because I'd spent about 6 years commuting. I was a partner at DLA Piper, so I spent 6 years commuting to Manchester and Sheffield.
Yeah.
We set up 17 years ago this year, and our kids were much younger then, and so we didn't want to commute. So we were very fortunate that our office is 10 minutes walk from home, and it's a converted factory. So we've done a bit of Ronseal, done what it says on the can, so we bought the property and oversaw the refurbishment.
Brilliant.
And yeah, I've got a really fantastic group of people working for us. Most of them been here a long time. We've got some junior, some trainee solicitors. So good breadth. And yeah, very, very I love my job. I mean, there are days when, it's obviously rubbish, but in construction, you get to meet new people, you get to go places, you are challenged in terms of the advice you have to give or stuff you have to read.
Yes.
Get to go to conferences all over the world and speak. And then you meet people. I had a meeting with someone today, and some of the opportunities that come from that are just like, if they come off, they'll be amazing. We could end up working on one of the biggest projects in the world.
Yep.
And we're just based in Rawdon. And it just shows that there's anybody, if you put yourself out there, there's nothing, just because we're in Rawdon doesn't mean to say you can't do things. And yeah, that's what other business people, just that you never let fear constrain you.
Yeah, absolutely. It's brilliant to hear. What you just said. Completely agree. It's amazing. I think we were saying before we started, it's great to see how many brilliant businesses doing amazing things, both locally and overseas, etc. Right on the doorstep, and it's just wonderful. So it's great to so I mean, think about yourself. When you're growing up, did you always see yourself as being the owner of a legal firm, or did you have some other plans ahead?
No, I'm fifth generation lawyer in my family.
Right. Goodness.
So they saw me being a lawyer.
Yes.
And it was never really spoken about, but right from a little boy, I used to go to the firm where my father worked, and I'd do my homework sitting, like the desk in his office. And very different days then. He was a chain smoker, and he'd constantly have a fag in his mouth, working away. And I'd look round, and the fag would be falling over the files, and a big pile of files, and very, very different sort of scenario. It wasn't something I intended to do. I was phenomenally lazy at school. God knows how I've managed to get here. I was going to do geography.
Right.
I went to a few places, universities, for interview, and back then I suddenly realised the only thing you could do was teach with geography, because there weren't all these little nuances. I suddenly thought, God, I can't be a teacher. I thought I'd be rubbish at it. So I thought, I'll do law,
Brilliant.
must be able to do that. So, yeah, I ended up going to Birmingham Poly, worked for some big firms. So DLA, when I was part of their biggest law firm in the world, we set up 17 years ago. On the one hand, a brilliant decision. On the other hand, when you have your own business, it's only with your business you think, what am I doing?
Yeah.
So we have a saying in the family: own your own business and choose your own hours, all
Yes.
of them. So our kids have said they're never going to have their own business, because all they see Trish and I do is just working all the hours. But yes, it wasn't. I think we've got a history. My great grandfather was first Prime Minister of Australia, and so we've got some decent legal heritage. Never thought I'd own my own firm, but I love seeing people grow.
Yeah.
So I love the fact that you're not constrained. I love the fact that as your own boss, you can make your own decisions, not always
Yes.
the right one, but it stands and rests with you. If something goes wrong, it's my fault. I'm responsible for everybody in this office, and if
Yeah.
something goes wrong, that's on me, not on them. And I like the fact that in Yorkshire, I'm not from here, but Yorkshire's just full of incredible, amazing people, and it
Yes.
never fails to amaze you how helpful people are. And
Absolutely.
yeah,
Yeah, 100%. I couldn't agree more. And it's interesting. I often say to business people I meet that the challenge is bit as similar to you said. The challenge of owning a business is ultimately the buck stops with us until we have someone else to replace us in that respect. But then that may not happen. But the great thing about owning a business is we get to choose exactly how it is, and it can
yeah,
be completely different to any other business. Where we work, how we work, how long we work, and it's a very exciting opportunity, even if it doesn't always it has
yeah,
to.
and it is, and you get the opportunity. As I was saying to guys meeting today, you get also the opportunity to, I sit on various sort of external boards and things, and I don't have to do that. I don't think nearly enough professional, let alone lawyers, do that. And in the larger firms, there's always excuses as to why they can't do it. Well, I think it's just because you don't want to. You could, but it's the smaller companies that I think it's more the SMEs that
Yeah,
actually give more back, and they sit on boards of schools or charities or other things,
yeah,
and we make up the time at weekends, and then your staff see you do, and you're leading by example. You can't say, I want you to do this and this, but
yeah.
you hope. But and that's one of the positives, feelings,
Yes.
isn't it?
Yeah. I think it's great. We can do the things that we want to do, but we can also help the people who want to help. It's a great vehicle for so many things. So 17 years, obviously, you're probably aware of the stats of success and failure that 17 years means you're in the top 4% of businesses. I don't know if that's something
Really?
that.
I didn't know that. There
Yeah,
you go.
statistically, very broad average. Unfortunately, um, after five, so 80% of businesses fail in the first 5 years of operation,
Hmm.
unfortunately. And of the 20 that survive, another 80% of those will fail in the following 5 years.
Wow.
So to get to 10 years, you're already in the top 4%. So to get to 17, I would imagine that's even shorter odds. So congratulations, because it's a very big tick in the box for the success you have. And I guess looking back over the 17, there must have been a few. What are some of the biggest challenges and issues that you've had to overcome?
A couple of recessions, Brexit,
Yes.
long-term Tory government, staff, getting paid. When when Trish and I started, we had a whiteboard, and we said, "All right, we're going to write our business plan," and this is still the only business plan we've written. It was find clients, do work, get paid, retire. And
That's it. That's
and
it.
it's just there's not much else you can add to that. But yeah, there's um, it any small company you're very susceptible, and particularly in our area, construction and commercial property,
Yes.
recessions are just like, you couldn't be in a worst place.
Yep.
As Brexit, we just completed a massive like 400 million pound project in Chile. The day after Brexit, client said he's leaving, relocated to Dublin, took all his work.
Goodness.
But I think, as you said, what you get over a period of time is an element of resilience, an
Yeah.
element of loyalty from staff and clients and suppliers. And I think if you treat people well, they will treat you. And then it's a case, I'm a big believer in just get up off your bottom and go and see people and talk to people. I know that's something that, as action coach, you tell your clients, you've got to be doing. If you just sit,
Yeah.
what's going to happen? And so we've had challenges where I can't believe my hair hasn't fallen out a few times, and you sit there. But it is, it's a bit trite, but every day is a new day,
Yeah.
and it doesn't matter how bleak, gloomy, depressing, for whatever reason, on a case or
Yeah.
a day is. That day, that time will end.
Yes.
And it's like grief. As you move further away from a death, it does get easier. It's not to say you'll ever be repaired,
Yeah.
but it will get easier. You get used, and it's the same. I think the same business. Even on your worst imaginable day, that is your worst imaginable day, and the next day is the day after. And I
Absolutely.
think as long as you keep going, and we've got a brilliant team here, and
Yeah.
we've got some. I shouldn't use the word some. We have lots. We don't have some. We've got lots of
Great.
really great clients.
Great.
That uh, it's lovely to spend time with and to have work from. And I
Yeah.
think the vast majority of our clients are people that, if you're stuck in a lift or a car in a snowdrift, it would be great. There wouldn't be
Yes.
any issue of thinking,
Yeah. No,
and
yeah.
you're always meeting new people.
Yeah.
So, sometimes because you have a problem, it makes you do something else.
Yep.
And you don't realize till later it's only because that problem, and you suddenly, what am I going to do? And you weren't going to go out that day, and you go to the pub or you go and have a meeting, and on the way you bump into someone, and suddenly
Yep.
it's a new little journey.
There's always a way forward if you keep doing things. I could totally agree. And it's interesting. I remember hearing our founder Bradley, I'm sure you're aware of, speaking
Yeah,
a few years ago, and one of the things he talked about was the economic cycles, and he said, look, the economies are like the seasons. It's there is a spring and a summer and an autumn and a winter, and he said farmers know, we all know as human beings, in the middle of winter, we know spring's going to happen. We just don't necessarily know exactly when, because it can change. And it's the same with the economy. It's the same with problems we've got. It will get better. We just don't know when. And I think the thing is to accept that it will get better rather than worry about if it will. It bound to. It's just how long have we got to go through these challenges, I guess.
and you can prepare for that. We've had difficult choices, so we kept having sort of people poached. And so a
Right.
few years ago, we took a view that what we needed was more people, rather than
Yeah.
sort of trying to grow a solicitor. And
Yeah.
then they get to like 4 years and they'd be poached by one of the big firms, because you get accelerated learning.
Yes.
So what we thought was, right, one left, and we said, right, we're going to take on 3 trainees, which
Yeah.
was a big commitment. And the next year we took on 3. And so a couple of people have left over the last couple of years, but because we made a commitment for a couple of years to really take on the numbers,
Brilliant.
that retention has
Yeah.
given us a higher number. And so I think we're less susceptible. And people like working with more people. If you've only got a couple, But
Yeah.
that's a great. On the other hand, it's a pressure because there's more mouths to feed.
Yes.
But
Oh yeah.
you
Yeah.
know, with that comes opportunities. A lot of sort of big jobs we chase, people want and require a team.
Yeah.
It'd be lovely if it was in that sense just me, but they need other people.
Yeah.
And then you see people doing jobs that some are really dull and boring and mundane. But then when you can give someone say, oh, actually, here's a job, and it's really different, and it's or a different location abroad or something. That's a lovely feeling. So yeah, challenges. I'm sure someone said, a challenge is just on the other side of a coin from opportunity, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. I think I was told a long time ago. I was told a long time ago. I've chosen not to find out it just in case it's not true because it should be. Is there's one of the Chinese dialects. The word for challenge is both problem and opportunity. It's got two parts to
Oh, okay.
it, which I thought is a great way alongside
Yeah.
the coin. And it is. It's like the thing I often say, and I think it's that looking at the positive from the negative. Is if a problem we're facing is industry wide, then the opportunity is to solve the problem first. And most of the problems with working with people, it often is, well, the industry's going, we're going into recession, or we've got a new
Mm.
law coming out that's going to affect how we operate. Well, so is everybody else. So that means if we solve it first, then we're gonna be the leaders, and it's a great way to look at it. So challenges obviously a few, I think the song goes. So what about learning? What would you say the biggest learning you've had about growing a business?
Uh, you'd love this one. Get a business coach early. So we've had a
I'll
business
send a fiver
coach.
later.
We've had a business coach for about 5 years. Should have done it earlier. I say to anybody, everybody, you don't have to be an SME. I say to partners in large law firms, why haven't you got a business coach? Because
Brilliant.
they could come in as a lawyer. You're a solicitor. You learn about the law. That teaches me about HR or profit and loss or business planning or business development. You learn them
Yeah.
because as you progress, you have to. But you're not getting any training as in the whole. So I learned that. I think you need. There are times when you've just got to, as a business owner, just suck it up. It's lonely.
Yeah.
You can't go and sort of offload.
No.
Your staff can come to you, and so having friends who will every now and again just allow you to have a right rant
Yep.
and moan and they don't complain. I think having in good interests. So I used to play a lot of hockey, but I'm more cycling now. And for me, cycling is go out with a group of friends. It's because you have to focus. You can't think about other stuff as you come off or crash. And it's a release, and
Yeah.
you beautiful place to cycle. You stop at a cafe, you have a laugh. So I think having something outside work, and then
Yeah.
just be positive. You can't be in business. I don't think unless you are going to be positive. And there are times when you allow yourself to be have a negative view and you don't actually realize. And our coach last week was actually took Trish and I to task because he said we're being too negative, and we went through an exercise about identifying positives. You just need to remind yourself, and you need to not only be praising your staff, but give yourself some of that acclamation of doing well.
100%.
And I think sometimes it's it's easy. It's January, it's dark, it's bleak. You turn the news on, it's all a bit depressing. And even though you have something that's worth celebrating, it slips by.
Yes.
And then you think, oh, well, that was yesterday. Oh, I can't celebrate it now.
It's so important to celebrate. It's because it builds resilience. It's the when we say why the hell are we doing this, we've got to have a reason, and the reasons are the celebrations we should have had. I spoke a friend of mine's a big speaker, business speaker across the world, And he said he was doing an event in New Zealand, and he was emceeing, and the guest speaker was the first guy to climb Everest with two artificial limbs.
Oh, wow.
And it's like, yeah, I mean, it's like that, and and Phil said to him, he said while they're having dinner before the speeches, he said, what was it like when you got to the top? What was that? The first person ever. You made history. And what was interesting was the guy said there was about 3 minutes of absolute adulation. We've made it, great, fantastic. And then I thought, what's next? And I thought, personally, perhaps a bit more than 3 minutes for all that.
Yeah.
And it's that for me. It's a consistency, and I'm probably where I know you work with a colleague of mine, that we consistently want people to celebrate, so that we create that positivity to support resilience.
I
And
think
sorry,
it's
go
very
on.
true. And then you need to be reminded, but you also need people. And I think, again, it's another reason why people should have a business coach, because your coach will be very honest with you. You think you're doing well, and they can say, well, actually, do you know what? What about this and then? And you think, okay. Or you they tell you you're doing better than you're giving yourself credit for. So you get a lot of honest feedback.
Yes,
And that's something that in businesses, I think it's difficult, because people
yeah,
say what they think people want to hear, and people are afraid of saying
yeah,
things. So yeah, there's a whole. Yeah, I think um, I I think having your own business is brilliant. There's lots of downsides. I think it's very difficult. I look at other people and I think, I know they earn, a lot more than we do, having our own firm. But you know what? We get so many other things that we have that they don't. And I'd still rather be here than having the extra money. It's just
yeah.
that isn't why we're here. And Trish and I, we do a lot. We do a lot for Mind in Bradford,
Great,
and we do a lot with Living Wage, Simon on the Streets. Then apart, say I'm board with Leeds City College,
brilliant.
and those are times when you give back. Now, that's not to say that sometimes you're thinking, God, how am I going to squeeze that in or do? But you go and it reminds you that we are so much better off than so many other people.
Yeah,
And if you can't help other people, then frankly, you shouldn't be here.
yeah.
There's always somebody that you can help in some way.
Yeah, in some way, and then, yeah, as you I completely agree. And there's so many different ways we can help people.
Mm.
Sometimes it's just to listen. Sometimes it is that bit of support, or it can be financial. It can be time, effort, energy.
Yeah.
So brilliant. And now you obviously mentioned having a coach already, and I always ask people who the best coach is they've ever worked with, whether that's business, sport, or life in general. Who are your key influences?
Um, well, Bill Squires is our coach, business coach. I think he's been our coach about 5 years, perhaps a bit more. But
Brilliant.
before COVID, before that time,
Yeah.
had different coaches over the years. My wife used to have an athletics coach. She used to be very good. I mean, she was world duathlon champion a couple of years ago, age. But
Wow.
one of her coaches, a guy called Bud Boldero, who was he was the national marathon coach. But we're lucky; we've got a lot of friends who are former international athletes
Right.
who live in this area. And so I'm not so much coaches, they guidance, people
Yeah.
who you respect, and I think that can come in a variety of forms, can't it? They're just people that you respect because they've achieved,
Yes.
and so when they say, "Have you tried this?" But then
Yeah.
equally, our kids are kids may sound little, 27, and got twin boys of 22, actually really good at providing advice, because they're different. They're just a different age set. They have different mindset. Um, and they're very good at sometimes just giving us advice on a whole range of things, and you sort of stop, and your initial reaction is, but then you sort of walk around the corner, you think, oh, that's a really good idea.
Yes, absolutely.
You just have to decide how often you tell them that actually what they told you is absolutely spot on. Yeah.
Fantastic. Fantastic. And I love picking up quotes and sayings. And is there any favourite quotes or sayings you find yourself using a lot?
Probably, but you putting me on the spot, I can't remember off the top of my
All
head.
good. Relax.
Um, I wouldn't say there's one that I
No,
always, you know,
some
comes to
people.
mind. But I think so, at the right time and place, that yeah, they can be great.
Yeah, it's yeah. I love to use them and hear them, and the great thing about doing this is I find I get different ones from different people, so it's a learning exercise. I tend to collect them, I think. Um, and about learning, what would you say you've learned about yourself throughout your journey so far, Bill?
Um, that I've probably got a bigger ego than I'd want to admit. That I'm there are times when I genuinely feel really nervous and worried, and I'll talk to people and they just say, you just don't show it. I know I can be very good at just it's that what is it, the duck or the swan. I can look serene, whatever,
Yes.
and you walk into a room and I'm there thinking, I've got to go and talk to people, and that doesn't, I don't think that changes. Um, I think having support of your family, and again, I think just actually there is a phrase I do repeat. There's always someone worse off than
Yep.
you. I do use that a lot. I've had operations a couple of years ago. I had sepsis, nearly lost my leg,
Oh goodness.
and these things happen. But there were people in the hospital when I was in there who had lost a
Yes.
leg,
Yeah. Yeah.
and do you know what? I'm lucky in that sense, and I think yeah. So count your blessings, and I think as you're counting your blessings, if you help other people, you appreciate where you are, and you appreciate that in whatever terms, time or money, or it doesn't really matter. You are probably better off than a lot of other people, and there's people who are better off than us in all these other things. But yeah, just don't get above your station, really.
Yeah, and I yeah totally agree with the thing is like one of my clients is now a friend. He uses the phrase first world problems for
Yeah,
many things. It's like our problems. I remember traveling many years ago. I mean, it's exactly what you said. I was traveling backpacking across. We were crossing from India to Nepal, and we came around the corner in this bus, and there was a lady. It was roadworks, but not as we know it because there was no
yeah,
machinery.
yeah,
And there was a lady with a baby on her back, and she had a pile of fist-sized rocks and a small hammer, and she was making gravel, and that was her job. And
yeah.
in that instant, I realised I'll never be in that situation. I'll never have to, do that just for presumably pennies. And yeah, I think it's always count our blessings because we're very very lucky.
And it's the same wherever you go. You think I was watching comedian and they were doing water jokes, and in the fact that there's a water shortage all over the world, and yet how many of us get a glass? You turn the tap on and you swill the water around the glass, or when you do your teeth, you don't turn the tap off.
Yeah,
What you do, and these are things you don't think of until you go somewhere else,
no.
and there's no water, and they're just simple. We just so much we take for granted. You're quite right.
Yeah. You remind me of. I remember at an action coach event a very long time ago, probably 15, 16 years ago. One of the speakers, just stood up and says, hands up, everybody that's got inside hot running water." Of
Mm.
course, everybody. And he said, "Well, congratulations, you're in the top 4% of the population of the world." And and then you just position that, and just like that's just shocking in that respect, or how privileged we are. I mean, to
But,
be.
we this year we went to Peru. Oh, sorry, last year. And but when you go to these countries, they're just so the people are so welcoming
Yeah,
and kind and generous, and they've got nothing. A lot of them, nothing. And you're just thinking, could I be as welcoming and generous with nothing? And people say,
yeah,
oh, they're used to it and blah blah. Well, that's not true. It's just and it's true, isn't it, that it is frequently said the people who have the least give the most.
yeah. It's very true. Yeah, it was. I don't know if you watched Kevin Sinfield in his last running event, but he was saying that in some of the poorest communities he went through, they were the ones that throw the most coins in the
Yeah.
buckets, and it's amazing. So looking forwards, Bill, what does the future look like for you guys, and what challenges do you think you might face, if any?
Uh, Getting old or older.
Gonna
Um,
happen.
I think regulation for a law firm is a
Right.
big issue
Yes.
because it's we're governed by the SRA. I have to be careful what I say about them.
Yes.
Um, there's a lot of regulation that is very unhelpful, and I'll leave it
Yeah.
at that. I
Yes.
think we want to grow a bit, but we're nearly at the point where we don't want to grow too much more, and that's not for a fear of growing. I just think we're at a size where Trish and I can manage
Yeah.
people.
Yeah.
To be bigger, we'd have to have someone equivalent to us to manage, which would be fine in 4 or 5 years' time. But now that wouldn't really fit, and so we're trying to bring people up to free
Yeah.
my time up more to go out and get work. Other challenges, uh, I suppose, national challenges. Just I'd like to see a new government, and I'd like to see a Labour government being being bold. Get elected. I understand they've got to water a lot of stuff down to get elected because people won't trust them. But get in and be radical. Show the rest of the world, the country. Make England the same as Yorkshire. You know,
Brilliant.
if the rest of this country had the same attitude and outlook as people in Yorkshire, you wouldn't be far off being top nation in the world. And I think you keep looking at stats where we're not top. There's this presumption, oh, we must be top of
Yeah.
education or children education or medical or dental. And actually, you find yourself scrolling down and you're
Yeah.
thinking, that's how far we've fallen. So that's, I think, a challenge. I think learning, I have to learn more about, um, keep learning about, diversity, about mental health, because yeah, I was brought up in an age where you went to work. If you tried to sneak out, my boss would say, "Where are you going?" Home, and they'd say, "Oh, it's only 6:45. Get back." And if someone came to you on a Friday and said, "Do this by Monday," you wouldn't say, "It's my weekend." You just say, "Yes."
Yes.
Um, and it's different now, and you
Yeah.
have to learn and yeah, mental health issues for young people. And the stuff I do with Leeds City College, you see really children of all ages, part of the pressure they're under. Getting just basic, we have basic challenges, just getting work. I think
Yeah.
if I can speak to a client in person, I'm confident, but it's getting past that perception. Oh, you're a small firm. Oh, you're only based outside Leeds. You can't be good enough to do our work, which I'm sure is a familiar thing to many SMEs and
Yes.
businesses. And it's a constant education of people. So that's always a challenge. Um, and then simple things, Trish and I want to see, our children happy and in fulfilling jobs. Challenge of spending less time at work. I'm 59, so it would be great to, in 5 years or so, I'd like to work 3 days a week. I'm very dull, but Yeah, I think our challenges are no different from if you're a plumber or a window cleaner or a gardener. It's getting work, it's getting paid, it's it's looking after your friends and spending time with people and seeking to, yeah, I suppose, make sure you're putting back, giving back as much as you can. You know,
Yeah.
sometimes it's easy to forget when you get too busy.
Yes.
So yeah,
Brilliant. Brilliant. Lots to go at. That's for sure. And,
keep me
and
busy.
what would you say to anyone that was thinking of going to business right now, Bill?
Um, First of all, well, not first, in no particular order, just as it occurs. Have you actually got a product? Because I think
Yeah.
sometimes people think they've got a product, but I don't think they've actually got a product that has a life to it.
Yep.
Don't be put off by the fact that there's another one. You know, go to anywhere in the world where there's a coffee shop. I almost guarantee you could come out, you could scrunch up your cup, and you'll be able to throw it into another cafe. They'll
Yeah.
be that close.
Yeah.
And yet people don't not open the cafe because there's one nearby. So I think people can be put off from the
Yes.
wrong things. Uh, think that understand and accept is a challenge, and it's going
Yep.
to be hard work, and you're going to have days where you'll hate it, but they just have to be outweighed. And surround yourself with people that you trust. You know, it can be whether it's your staff or a business coach or some friends who can help you, and believe. Just keep if you've got that business, just keep doing it, because I think something you said earlier, it's that sort of, I think some people can give up because it's hard.
Yeah.
You have to go through that, and there is the new day when suddenly it would all change. But I think some people, perhaps give up isn't the right phrase, but they stop
Yeah.
when actually they were quite close to success.
There's the old story of being 3 feet from gold. I don't know if you've heard that one, but the one of the I think it was the third largest gold strike in the Klondike was a guy that ran this mine for like 18 months and killed himself and
Yeah,
sold it for $10. And the next day the guy goes in, he digs 3 feet and he finds this massive vein of gold. And the thing I always say to people, obviously often in business, is if you're of an age, which you and I probably are, is that business is quite like a Rubik's cube. It can look totally messed up, and yet 3 moves
mm,
and it's done. And so
yeah.
we can be that close. It's just maybe changing a few simple things.
But
Uh,
it's surrounding yourself with. So we have business coach, we have Talisa from 10x who does all our marketing, is brilliant. James is helping us with podcasts. We have a company, KS, that does our IT. We have a long term and develop a long term relationship with companies. Our PR company, Farrakane, give them all a mention. All these people have been with us now for a few years,
right.
and they all support us in different ways. Yes, they're doing their job, and yes, we're paying them. But I think you get more than that
Yeah.
when you go out and you're careful about who you pick, because
Yeah.
they're people who will help you and support you, give you ideas, and you find yourself getting them work and
Yeah.
clients, and that becomes a virtuous circle. And so yeah, I think there are some people who see their business as, it's them and their partner, and I can't afford to do marketing, or I can't afford to pay for a good website, or can't. Well, can you afford not to?
Yeah.
That and I think sometimes that's something you've got to take into account when you set up a business. Have you got the money or the wherewithal to get some of those uh, external helps to enable you to focus on your business? Because you're
Yeah.
probably not any good at marketing or a website or a business coach. You're a coffee maker.
Yeah.
So do your job, do it brilliantly
Yeah.
and get the people doing their job brilliantly. And those are the companies that you see grow.
Brilliant. Yeah. Yeah, makes a lot of sense. And final question, what would be the best advice you could give an 18-year-old you if you could go back in time and do so, Bill?
Stop being lazy. It's 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 more productive to do a little bit of work each day, you know, than either do no work, Bill, or leave it till the last minute.
Wonderful. I think I could probably take that advice too.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure people did actually give me that advice.
Yeah,
But so
18-year-old
perhaps
anybody you can't give advice to. Let's be perfectly frank.
so perhaps I should moderate. So that would be the advice I should have listened to. So the
Yes.
advice would be to the 18-year-old me, listen.
Yeah, yeah, I would agree. Yeah, but that's the challenge with 18-year-olds, isn't it? We all know everything.
Yeah,
You can't teach us anything. And that's the way it is. Well, Bill, it's been really fascinating and entertaining, and really valuable to have this conversation. So thank you so much for your time. For
very
anyone that,
kind.
well, it's been great. Anyone that would like to get in touch with you or Barton Legal, what's the best way to do so?
You can just look Barton Legal up on the internet. I'd be
Yep,
amazed if they don't come at the top.
brilliant.
Or you can look me up. So it's Barton Legal or Bill Barton. I say our website has got a huge amount of information and help. It's we follow the mantra of you ask, we answer
Brilliant.
approach. So
Brilliant.
I hope that on our website we have lots and lots of just basic questions that will and answers. But yeah, so if you want to get in touch through the website, it's easiest. And yeah, happy to put anybody who gets in touch with anybody else I know, you know, on LinkedIn. I'm on LinkedIn as Bill Barton. But yeah, I'm a big believer in if anybody wants help with something, just give me a ring.
Brilliant. Brilliant. Thank you so much. And look, it'd be great to swing by another 6, 12 months and catch up and see what the next chapter is unfolding. So, but
Yeah, I'd have to make sure I rewatch this just before, just
oh
don't.
no, it's all good. It's all good. If you repeat something, it's because it's very valuable. That's what I always look at. That's what I always believe. I repeat a lot of things because I can't remember what I said. I can't remember what I said yesterday, let alone 6 months ago. So I wouldn't worry too much about that. So again, once again, thank you so much. It's been great.
Brilliant. Thanks, Chris. Been a pleasure.
Thank
Take
you.
care.